Excuse me for my voice, but I have never seen anything like it.
You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Welcome back to the show. We're breaking down the AFC South. What do we expect from teams like the Titans and the Jaguars, who are going to try to rebuild and get back into that conversation for a Super Bowl? And what we can expect from teams like the Texans, who don't have any first-round picks, and are they a team that might try to trade up and get a first-round pick? All that and more. We're talking to Sam Ouhaj right now. All right, on the phone line right now, we have Sam Ouhaj, the Wonder Kid, talking to us about the mock draft, his big board, breaking down the AFC South this week. Sam, what are we thinking?
The AFC South is a really great division to talk about, I feel, when it comes to the NFL draft. I mean, you have the Texans, the Titans, the Colts, and the Jags, and all these teams could be pretty competitive, and that's what I like about this division a lot. Obviously, the Titans made it to the AFC Championship, which no one really saw coming. The Texans got absolutely demolished after being up 24-0 against the Chiefs. The Colts and the Jags kind of got the short end of the stick this year, and I feel like that was a lot due to poor QB play. But they could definitely turn it around, especially with the fact that the Jags have Gardner Minshew, who obviously played pretty decent when he was the starting quarterback till they decided to make the change to Nick Foles. And I feel like that was the turning point in their season when they just decided to switch what momentum they had. The Colts, obviously, Jacoby Brissett getting injured during the middle of the season really didn't help, especially, too, when they lost to the Dolphins. So I feel like if you give them another year, which this upcoming season, it'll be a really competitive division, and I can honestly see any team going pretty far.
The AFC South reminds me of the most competitive division in football because they have a bunch of teams, but the thing that stands out to me is that none of them really have a quarterback. Like, outside of the Texans, I don't trust any of the quarterbacks in that division. Do you?
No, I agree with you, too. I feel like the one quarterback that I really don't know about is Tannehill, because he just had a one-year wonder, I feel. And, I mean, that could obviously change. And he could just, maybe it was just a change of scenery, and Adam Gase was the one who was running his career into the ground. But there's still a lot of time to see, because obviously one quarterback could have a great year, but after that, what is that really? It's all about consistency and proving that you're a great quarterback year after year. It just can't be one season, because what's going to happen is the Titans are going to pay Ryan Tannehill a good amount of money so he can stay their franchise quarterback. And if he goes back to how he was in Miami, then the Titans are obviously screwed again for another couple of years, because it's all about how you pay your quarterback, and that's what's the driving force, I feel like, about how a team performs.
No, I agree with you. The thing about the Jaguars, too, is they go from a quarterback like Blake Bortles, who was below the 15 mark. Like, if we're ranking the quarterbacks, he's below average. Minshew comes in, and just the fact that he's an average quarterback made him look really good, I think, in a Jacksonville uniform.
No, I would definitely agree with you. The thing is that the Jags, they have the talent and the pieces to be a great team. It's just they suffered from poor quarterback play. I guarantee you, literally if you put Deshaun Watson on the Jaguars, they go to the AFC Championship game. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just like they just need a good quarterback to guide them the right way, and I think Minshew could do that in a sense. I think he's kind of I'm still not sure about him. I don't want to jump the gun because it is his rookie season, and I want to see how he performs next year. But I mean, the Jags could be a really great team. They could be a 10-6, 9-7, 11-5 team. They have the defense. Their defense is filthy.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Jaguars' defense, because it was good this year, but I think that they're going to add some pieces. Who do you have the Jaguars taking in that first round at the number 9 pick?
So this could go in a lot of ways, and it all depends about what the Detroit Lions do. And trust me, it's going to have a rippling effect throughout the draft, because here's the thing. The Lions could take Jeffrey Okudah, the cornerback out of Ohio State, who I think is the best corner in this year's draft, and that will turn the whole draft around. Or they could take Derek Brown, and then that will leave Jeffrey Okudah to kind of have a fall, because currently I have the Cincinnati Bengals taking Joe Burrow, the Redskins taking Chase Young, the Lions, if they take Derek Brown, the Giants are going to take offensive linemen. You get the point. Tua and Justin Herbert are going to go in the top 10. The Panthers will probably take Isaiah Simmons because they don't really need a cornerback. The Cardinals, they need a wide receiver, offensive tackle. So the Jags land Jeffrey Okudah in my latest mock draft, and I think this is a big win for the Jaguars in particular because think about it. They just traded away Jalen Ramsey for 2 first-round picks. But, I mean, to be honest with you, what did Ramsey really do when he got to the Rams? He was kind of all right. He was nothing spectacular. And he's a phenomenal talent. He's a shutdown corner, Jalen Ramsey. I'm not bashing him any which way. But, I mean, to replace him with another top 10 future cornerback in the first round is a big win for the Jaguars if they land Jeffrey Okudah. And they also have another first-round pick, with pick number 20, which we got from the Rams. So they could probably draft a wide receiver like Laviska Shenault Jr. from Colorado because if you give Minshew weapon, he's going to make great things happen. I mean, DJ Chark had a breakout season under Gardner Minshew, and that was pretty impressive. So I think that they need another clear-cut wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 type of guy to pair up with DJ Chark, and Shenault gets the job done.
Could you see the Jaguars making a draft day trade and getting rid of Fournette? Because Fournette seems like the running back who we had a lot of expectations for and has not panned out at all, essentially, in Jacksonville. Could you see him getting moved?
I think they stay with him another. I mean, he's on a rookie contract, so I think you could keep him around for another year to see how it really goes. And you could pick up his 5th-year option. They hold a lot of leverage with Leonard Fournette because he has moments of being great in Jacksonville, but besides that, it's nothing. It's kind of been overrated, to be honest. He taken at the number 4 overall pick a couple of years ago out of LSU. He didn't really do anything deserving to be that. He's injured every single year. He has a suspension at least once a year for getting into a fight with a team or getting into a fight with a player. There's a lot of liability around him, but when he's healthy and he gets fully going, I mean, you saw it. He rushed for 220 yards against the Denver Broncos, and they have a pretty great defense. So I think that they'll hold on to him for another year.
All right, let's move on to the Colts, who have the 13th pick in the draft. I think, like I mentioned earlier, they don't have there's not a ton of great quarterbacks in the division outside of Watson. The Colts feel like a team that might be sniffing for a quarterback. What do you think?
They could go with Jordan Love out of Utah State, but I think that the Colts, and it's been rumored too, that they're going to just take the best player available. So in my mock draft, I haven't taken CeeDee Lamb to pair up alongside T.Y. Hilton. I have Brissett for one more year. He's a free agent after this year, so it's not like you have to really scramble. And then they're just going to draft a quarterback in the 2021 draft. I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence coming up, so I mean, they're obviously going to have to suck to get Trevor Lawrence, but you never know what the Colts can pull. They have a great GM, a great head coach, Frank Reich. So the Colts, I think they're just going to take the best player available. And while it makes sense to take a quarterback to replace Brissett in the future, they're going to do it next year, and they can just get a great wide receiver to pair up alongside T.Y. Hilton.
Now, I know that there's a lot of great wide receivers in this draft. That's kind of why I'm sniffing around the quarterback. Because at 13, you're not going to get Herbert, you're not going to get Tua, you're not going to get Burrow. But there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in this draft. Jacob Easton out of Washington, he's not terrible. You know, I think there's a lot of good options in that position.
And yes, I would definitely agree with you when it comes to that. But do you really trust Jacob Easton to be? I think he could fall to the second round, and if the Colts really want to do that, they could take him. I don't think. Obviously, there's Jake Fromm going in the second round to some teams. Like, it all depends. So you could hold off a little bit. And if the Colts really wanted to, their GM has been known to make some pretty big moves and move back into the draft. So they could definitely do that if they really feel that it needs to be their guy. But they could just take the best overall player, and then they could plan it out, I feel.
So how big of a deal is it that the Texans don't have a first-round pick this year?
I think it's kind of a big deal. I mean, they're a good team that's held back by their head coach. I feel like that's literally what it is for the Texans, and it's going to be the same thing again. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Bill O'Brien trade again in the first-round pick, because I saw a really funny meme where they were talking about Bill O'Brien, and it was like Bill O'Brien when he realized he could trade his first-round picks away, and he was like, this is where the fun begins. Because, I mean, the Texans, I feel like every other year, they trade away a first-round pick or they do something idiotic because it's just Bill O'Brien as the head coach that's been holding them back. I mean, Deshaun Watson, the Texans kind of remind me of the Seahawks in a sense, but Pete Carroll is a better head coach, obviously, than Bill O'Brien. But what happens is that they are like, they suck, and then they're like, Watson, bail me out. But the Seahawks do the same thing, and they're like, Russell, bail me out. So I don't really know how big – it is a big deal that they don't have a first-round pick, but what are they going to really do, the Texans?
See, the problem is that the division is so up in the air. If this was a division like the AFC East, where you had a dominant team like the Patriots who was going to win it over and over and over again, I could see taking risks and trading away your first-round picks to get good right now to try to capitalize on the moment. But the fact is, the AFC South, and I don't know if we've mentioned this enough, is just so up and down with the teams that you don't need to trade away these first-round picks, in my opinion, and still be competitive. So they don't have a first-round pick this year. I don't think they have a first-round pick next year. It's really hard to build a championship team year in and year out if you don't have the picks to replace the older players who are going to get injured and move on.
And I totally agree with you. And then when we get to the NFC West and we have to talk about the Rams, think about it, right? They're not going to have a first-round pick till like 2023 or something crazy. That's how you ruin your team. And they didn't make the playoffs this year. So imagine what's going to happen again. The Rams might not make the playoffs again for a very long time. And I know that's crazy to say, especially since they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. But, I mean, look at it. I'm going to go on a whole rant when we get there. But it's just a little crazy. Just think about it. They're screwed with Jared Goff and how much they paid him. Todd Gurley's a shell of himself. Their defense is all right. Jalen Ramsey's going to want to get paid. Like, They dug themselves in a very bad situation, the Rams.
So let's move on. Let's move on to the best team in the division, the Tennessee Titans, who probably are going to draft an offensive lineman. I think that you're going to look for more guys to protect Tannehill. You're going to look for guys to open up holes for Derrick Henry. What do you think about them going to the trenches, or do you think that they're going to go on the other side of the ball?
I think they're going to go on the defensive side of the ball. And in my mock draft, I haven't taken Zach Bond out of Wisconsin. That dude is filthy. He's an athletic freak. Let me tell you something. He could play defensive end and linebacker. He's literally so good that he could cover running backs and tight ends. And the amount of packages that the Titans could do with him and have him centered around is pretty significant. I think that they're going to keep Derrick Henry, but they might not. I mean, do running backs really matter in the NFL? I mean, I feel like the running back and the wide receiver position is the easiest position to play in the NFL. You can slot a guy in, and they're going to be either good, bad, or all right. But Derrick Henry said that the floor for his contract is Zeke Elliott's contract, and that's a lot of money to be paid to a running back, especially because you got to think about it like this: Derrick Henry is a big dude, and he takes a lot of hits when he plays in the season. So it's all about his longevity and how much more hits he's going to take. And that's the issue with paying running backs so much money, is that the lifespan of a running back, I feel like, is like 4 to 5 years, and that's when they start to decline. And if you have more than over 400 carries in a season, you're already at the decline of your career. I mean, you got to think about the types of positions that some of these teams have put themselves in. David Johnson got paid a lot of money. He's looking to get released. Todd Gurley's going to get traded. He got paid a lot of money. Dalvin Cook is going to hold out this season, but he has an injury history, so even then, that doesn't look good for the Vikings. He might not even get the money that he wants, Dalvin Cook, because they have negative cap space, the Vikings. So I don't know if the Titans are going to run the risk. I mean, they could just surprise the world and say we're not bringing back Derrick Henry, even though he was the Russian title champion, and they could take someone in the second round. Those are pretty good running backs. I mean, obviously, you got J.K. Dobbins. I think DeAndre Swift is going to end up going in the first round to maybe the Falcons, who need a running back, when they release Devonta Freeman, who's another running back that got paid a lot of money. So the Titans could go either way, but I have them taking Zach Bond right now out of Wisconsin, because they're interested in a few offensive linemen, especially the one offensive lineman on the Cleveland Browns. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but they're interested in him, and they're probably going to offer him a significant contract. So I think the Titans have an idea of what they're doing, but at the same time, the AFC South is just that division where you can't really predict a winner year in and year out, because they're all just up and down, those teams. It's probably the most competitive division in the NFL currently right now. And the one that's on the up and coming probably currently is the NFC West with the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the 49ers. That's a great division too. But I mean, the AFC South it's a fun division because they're just all so terrible that you don't know who's going to win.
or they're all really good. I mean, the Jaguars won 6 games this year and were the last place team. Sam, before I let you go, what do you expect out of the AFC South in this draft? Because, we had Bill O'Brien. We mentioned that there's a chance that he'll trade up and try to get a first-round pick in this year's draft. But do we expect any other movement out of some of these teams going into this draft?
I don't know. That is a good question, but I mean, the AFC South, I think the Colts probably make the most significant move this year. They probably shock the world. They move back up into the draft. They get a quarterback and they get a wide receiver, or they do something. I just like the Colts GM. I like how their organization is run. Frank Reich is one of the most underrated head coaches in the NFL. I feel he does a lot with his quarterbacks, especially with how he has handled Jacoby Brissett. He had to handle Andrew Luck's retirement. He's a great NFL coach, Frank Reich. So I think that they're probably going to be the team that does the most noise in this year's draft. But I mean, also too, the Jags, they have a lot of leverage this year. They have an extra first-round pick, so you can always trade that for assets to make their team a lot better. The Titans, they're good, but the Texans is the one team I'm not too sure about. They could probably they might have a bad draft this year, and they might not be so great next year. I mean, obviously it helps when you have Deshaun Watson as your quarterback, but can we have a discussion about Watson real quick?
Yeah, let's go. What do you want to say about Watson?
Do you think Deshaun Watson is kind of overrated?
No, I think Deshaun Watson's the 4th best quarterback in the NFL. I think that he's behind Lamar, Mahomes, and Wilson, but I think that he is in that conversation as a Tier 2 type of quarterback, where if you took the best quarterbacks in the league and ranked them, and you only could put, say, 2 or 3 in every single one, he is for sure, I think, a Tier 2 good quarterback. He's a guy that if you took him off this Texans team and replaced him with just an average quarterback, that Texans team goes 6-10 this year. He legitimately, I think, won 4 games for the Texans this year. Just on his own, just on his back, carried them to wins. So, no, I don't think he's overrated. And you do?
It's not that I think he's overrated. I just think that sometimes when I watch him, I just don't know about him. Like, I like him. I really do like him as a player and as a I would agree with you that he's a top 5, top 10, top 8 quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying that, but I just watch his style of play sometimes. I feel like he just holds on to the ball way too much. Like, I feel like he takes so many, and I get it, his offensive line isn't great, but sometimes he's always running around and he doesn't let the plays develop. So I don't know. There's nothing against him, but
you know what?
I feel like a lot of people.
Let me say this: if he had a different coach, if he was, say, with Pete Carroll or Belichick or even Sean McVay, and he was kind of having to run around and do the type of stuff he does, I'd agree with you. I'd say, he's running around too much. He needs to let the play develop. But the fact that it's Bill O'Brien, the fact that Will Fuller has never played, I think, 16 consecutive games, and his only real target is Hopkins, and he gets double coverage by the safety and the corner that's on him all the time, I think that he has to break it down and make those type of plays. Otherwise, the Texans aren't going to win games.
I would agree with you on that. I don't know. I was just thinking about it because I like him, but I'm not sold. I'm not sold on a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that a lot of people give praise to. I don't know why. I look at a lot of teams and I look at a lot of players that people say are really good, and I just think about it. I'm like, are they really good though? Because I'll watch them play and I'll just be like, I'm not impressed. You know what I mean? I shouldn't compare all the quarterbacks because each quarterback has a different style of play, but I feel like the best quarterback. I mean, it's also hard too when you compare everyone to Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's the best quarterback in the NFL by a long shot, and I'm not disputing that. But I watched some of these quarterbacks are ranked like the top 5, and I'm just not sold on a lot of them.
I've said this, and we're going to get into it next week when we talk about the AFC West, and then later on when we break down the NFC East. But I'm saying that if you look at Dak Prescott, who I think is for sure a 13, 14, 15 quarterback, and you look at Mahomes, who's the number 1, I think Watson leans more to the Mahomes side of the spectrum than he does the Prescott side. Does that make sense?
You think Prescott's a top 13 quarterback?
Yeah. I have not seen.
I think he's 8, at least 8.
I have not. When we'll get into it when we talk NFC East in a couple weeks, but I have not seen anything from him since his rookie year to make me think that he is a top 10 quarterback. That's just me.
Understandable. I understand where you're coming from.
All right, next week we're talking AFC West. We'll break down the Chargers and the Chiefs and what we expect from the Las Vegas Raiders. Sam, so great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me.
So great to have Sam on. Next week we're talking AFC West, like I mentioned. Also, combine results, who impresses, who disappoints, all that and more. Also, if you haven't been listening, you need to check this out. We have Film Friday. I broke down Fantasy Island last week. This week, we're breaking down the movie Downhill with Will Ferrell and Tina Fey. That's going to be a ton of fun. I'm really excited for that. Also, baseball podcasts are coming out. Baseball season is just around the corner. We have all the dates talking about the all-decade team. We broke that down, gambling, and then all the divisions. Every single division is going to get their own episode. So check all that out. Thank you so much for checking this episode out. And you can go back and listen to Sam's breakdowns of the AFC North and East as well, along with the South. Thanks so much.